Big time win. If you're a dad of girls, a granddad of girls, grandparent, whatever it might be, mother of girls, and you're just maybe, even if you're not a parent or a grandparent of young girls. I happen to have 3, but if you just have common sense, this is a win for common sense. So recently, the U.S. Department of Education attempted to add gender identity to the Title IX prohibition of sex discrimination. Well, that was outlawed nationwide by a federal judge in Kentucky. Here to give us the details, Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute on KCMO Talk Radio. Dave, what are the details on this one, my man? Good morning.
Well, good morning, Pete. Well, first we have to go back to before the Biden administration tried to implement this rule, there was already a federal court ruling that said gender is not covered by Title IX. So knowing this, the Biden administration still tried to put this rule in place that said you must provide protection. Basically, allow a transgender person to use the restroom and locker room of their choice. And if you don't do it, then you're going to lose federal money. So it was a strong arm tactic to try to get schools to do it. They announced this rule in the spring of 24 and said it was going to go into effect in August. And it put school districts in a panic.
So now this gets struck down, thankfully, by this federal judge. And does that mean it's over, or especially since Biden is leaving office, or could there be something else where this tries to potentially come back to the forefront?
No, it's over. It would be. It's always possible that some other administration would try to do it again, but it would meet the same fate. I mean, the courts have already clearly spoken. So, fortunately, we had a lot of school districts ask what should they be doing, and the State School Board Association in Kansas was saying, "Go change the rule right now. You have to adopt this policy and do what Biden wants." And we encourage districts to wait, because knowing the legal history on this, there was bound to be suits brought, and that's what happened. So Kansas was one of many states that filed suit against the Biden administration, and they were asking first for an immediate injunction to stay the rule. And that's...
Yeah, okay. Do you know if any of the local school districts here in the Kansas City area were going along with the Biden administration because they wanted to, they felt they had to? What was your sense on that?
I don't know for sure what any specific district did. We know that some districts were, the Olathe district at least, we had a several parents tell us that they were allowing that. And
allowing what, girls or boys and girls locker rooms and bathrooms?
Yeah.
In Olathe?
And in Olathe, they would not speak to us about it. They wouldn't deny it. And the interesting thing is that in Kansas, there's a very clear state law that says you must provide separate facilities for girls and boys based on their gender at birth. And so it really appeared that Olathe was violating state law, and this was before the Biden administration tried to pull their fast game. I don't know about other districts. I mean, we can't say for sure on Olathe, but their actions made it appear, based on that the parents were telling the truth, that they were allowing this. There were a lot of districts we know of that started to make the change because they feared losing the federal money. They didn't want to, but they were afraid of losing the money. And they were caught in a pickle because they had the state law saying don't do it, and then the federal law saying do it or else.
So now it's very simple. You just go with the state law, and the whole federal nonsense that Biden tried to cram down on people is over, where he tried to force boys in the girls' locker rooms. That day is done.
That's it. It's done.
Good. Now, isn't this also, with the passing of Jimmy Carter in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, and rest his soul, He, of course, started the Department of Education. I mean, this feels to me like another reason to say, you know what, it's time to end the Department of Education. What do you think?
Yeah, I do. The education decisions should be made at the local level for a lot of reasons. There's no we don't need the federal government saying teach this or teach this method because school systems are state creations, and the federal government should not be able to do it. So what they do always is they use the carrot and stick of a contract. Here, we'll give you some money, but you have to do these things for us. So they try to get around federalism and constitutional law because they can't mandate. They just try to do it through bribery or coercion.
And isn't it true? I mean, if you got rid of the Department of Education, where there's 4,400 employees and God knows what they do, if you got rid of the Department of Education, you would still have the money coming into these schools, in part from federal income taxes, but the state would then distribute it, right? So it would be the state's purview to handle the monies and distribute it then to the school districts. It wouldn't be the federal government getting to use a heavy hand against the school districts. That's the only difference. It wouldn't be defunding the schools.
That's right. Congress could determine to keep the money flowing and basically just block grant it. There don't have to be any strings attached or any rules. It's just a block grant. They could say, here's money to use for special education. And so you can only use it for special education, or if it's for meals, you can only use it for that. But it could be a block grant so that there's no strings attached. Here's money, use it for this purpose, we're good. And any federal agency could distribute that money.
Do you think that's the best way to do it? Or would you say just get the feds out of it completely, no money flowing from the feds, and just handle everything on the state level?
I think ideally we would not want the feds involved at all. But if they do send money for specific purposes, then it should be done in a block grant. You know, the Department of Education, you look at the kind of things they've tried to do through bribery and coercion. It's been like Common Core. It's been No Child Left Behind, which pretty much they knew was going to leave every child behind because it was all look good, feel good stuff that didn't work and wasn't ever really intended to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like with No Child Left Behind, they said, here, we're going to have this really high bar and you meet it. Every child is going to be proficient by 2014. And they knew it was impossible, so they said, but we'll let you decide what proficiency means. And so most states like Kansas said, okay, we'll just dumb down our standards. And they still couldn't meet the rules.
Yep.
And so when they couldn't do that, there's, well, okay, now we'll try this. We'll give you a waiver from No Child Left Behind. You go do Common Core. It doesn't work.
No. Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute. I got a minute, Dave. The legislative session in Topeka got underway yesterday. If you had a dream list, what's the one big, bold thing you'd want to see him accomplish in Topeka this session?
Well, I can't do one. I have to do two. On the
I'm going to have to charge you for
side,
two, but okay. All right. Go ahead. I'll give you two. Go ahead. You got two.
Send me the bill. So on the economic side, property tax relief. Kansans desperately need property tax relief. The challenge is going to be Governor Kelly doesn't want to do it. She'll give some lip service to it, but she does not want to do it. She will side with the local governments. And so we'll see. It may have to go to a veto override, but there's a number of things that will be coming to provide specific relief, like limits on how much the valuation on your home can rise in any given year, and limits on how much a city or a county can increase their tax revenue in a given year without a vote of the public. Those things are desperately needed. On the education side, we need school choice, and we need school choice because we only have about a third of the kids proficient in Kansas. We have a third of our kids below grade level, and it's getting worse. Mm-hmm. We're down to 18% college readiness on ACT. That's down from 32%. The two things that choice does is, of course, it gives some kids the immediate relief. They get to go somewhere else. But that competition forces schools to work harder and focus on student achievement above all else. And we've seen that happen in states like Florida and Arizona, where the public school kids, once there was robust choice, the public school kids started growing much faster than the national average. So it's really about giving property tax relief to taxpayers and getting kids the education they deserve.
Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute. Always great to have you on, my friend. We'll be following along. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Pete.
All right. Dave Trabert on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.